Welcome to our Transcript Accessibility Workshop. In this training, we will cover what transcripts are, requirements for transcripts, adding transcripts to multiple platforms, and building transcripts. What are transcripts? Transcripts are a text version of an entire audio recording. These are typically associated with podcasts or other audio-only content. Accurate transcripts are required to be provided with all audio-only content at the same time the audio recording is made publicly available. Here's an example of a transcript that is hosted on a web page. This transcript clearly states in its title that it is a transcript for a podcast episode and directs users on where to find the audio recording of the podcast. This transcript describes non-dialogue audio content that is in the podcast, in this case being music fading out. There are clear indicators of who is speaking and when. There are some things you need to make sure you do when building an accessible transcript. You'll need to ensure that the written content is exactly the same as the spoken content. Do not paraphrase or summarize, and be sure to describe important background sounds. Be sure to identify your speakers each time they start speaking. Be sure to use correct spelling, punctuation, and capitalization. Be sure that the platform your transcript is hosted on, or the document file your transcript is on, is also accessible. Lots of podcast creators like to keep their transcript directly on their website, but some use accessible Google Docs or PDFs to share their transcript. There are a few things you should not do when building your transcript. Don't rely on auto transcripts or AI-generated transcripts to be accurate. They are great for getting started, but will need to be edited and checked by a real person. Don't write your transcripts in all capital letters. Only use all caps for yelling or speaker identification. Don't include the timestamps in your transcript. You want your transcript to be easily read without additional clutter. It's very important that your transcript is easily available from every platform that your podcast is hosted on. If your podcast is hosted on 3 different podcast apps, each app will need to have a direct link to the podcast transcript. How do I add transcripts on different platforms? Step 1 is to build your transcript. Make sure that whatever format you have your transcript in is accessible. Step 2 is to have your transcript publicly available. This can mean adding it to your website or having a publicly available Google Doc, or however else you would like to present your transcript. Step 3 is to link your transcript to your podcast episode description. You will need to be sure that your transcript link is added to each podcast episode on each platform your podcast is hosted on. How should you link your transcript in an episode description? Here are 2 examples of how you can add your transcript to your podcast episode description. One example says, "For a transcript of the episode, please visit the episode page," and the text, "Visit the episode page," is hyperlinked. Another example states, "Find a transcript of this episode on our website," and the text, "Transcript of this episode," is hyperlinked. There are lots of tools you can use to help you build your transcript of your podcast. Otter.AI, YouTube's Auto-Captions, Google Docs' voice typing tool, and Transkriptor are all popular AI tools for building transcripts. Auto-generated transcripts are great for getting started in the process, but they must have a real person check for accuracy and clarity. 3Play Media and Celio24 are also third-party vendors that can prepare podcast transcripts. Here are additional resources that outline these requirements for transcripts and audio-only accessibility requirements. These are available on our Digital Accessibility Program website.